Hello, Kate.
Hello,
Hello.
Talia.
Happy to see you.
Me too.
Uh, so, ladies, how was the previous week? Was it enjoyable?
uh, Enjoyable. It's not about my week,
Uh-huh.
unfortunately.
Uh-huh. What are the challenges? Tell us about challenges then.
So one more student who are going to take English state exam, and
Uh-huh.
he doesn't know English at all, but not at all. But his level is
Like
really very low, poor.
low, low,
Low,
lower than
low. Knowledge is poor, but the level is lower. Yeah, low.
yeah, like lower than it is needed for an exam. Mhm.
Yeah.
Well, Nastya, what can we say if the student wants to take an exam and the level is lower? So what wish? What do you think?
Take the situation in your hands. Nothing can be changed.
Mhm.
Nothing depends on you.
Okay. Do your best.
Yeah.
Well, and see what happens. So he could do better than without preparation. Yeah. If you help him, he or she, is it he or she?
He, of course, I have only boys.
Yeah,
My
yeah, yeah.
students are only boys.
Uh-huh. So he, with your help, he could do better than
Maybe.
without your
I'm
help.
not sure.
Mm-hmm.
He's
Okay.
not also motivated because it is desire of his mother, not his.
That's really not a good thing to do.
But
Mhm.
that's okay.
Yeah. Well, what about you, Nastya? What would you like to share with us?
Hmm.
Achievements, plans, tasks maybe?
This week I discovered that I don't want to have a workload anymore. I don't want to be in a hurry because this week half of the week and I spent with my daughter on sick
Uh-huh.
leave, and it was a pleasure. Enjoy yourself, spend my time as I want to do it.
Mhm.
So there is some food for thought what I should do with my workload the next year.
I see. And so is your teaching load now quite heavy?
Mm, so I have 22 hours a week.
My dream.
Yeah, yes, but my working hour is not 40 minutes, but 1 hour. Um,
Mhm.
and I finished work really early at 4:30, but in the morning everything is a mess.
I can imagine with little kids, mornings are always busy. You're like getting ready for kindergarten, for school, can be a nightmare. Mhm. Nasta, do you teach groups or individuals?
Uh, the previous year, no, I started teaching. I started giving performing private lessons at the beginning of the year, but I was honest with myself, and I know that I don't like teaching private lessons
Mm-hmm.
because these lessons are not dynamic for me. It's like I stopped doing it, and I hope I will never do it anymore. I like to
Mm-hmm.
work with groups.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Well, with kids, it's difficult to have all the teaching loads in the morning, right? Because they're usually busy at schools. Mm-hmm.
Yes, that's why all the lessons are mine.
Mm-hmm. Well, most teachers work in the evening if they
Yeah,
work
sure.
for language centers, right? That's
Yeah.
something that people feel tired of, right?
But it's not my case. My boss was really tolerant, and he knows the situation that I have. That's why I work when the kindergarten works and everybody works in the evening.
Okay, good. That's really good. Well, so what I want you to think of, you remember we were talking about extreme sports and extreme activities, and a little bit about how adventurous you are. And before that, we discussed some language of comparison, like slightly, significantly, nowhere near, nothing like, infinitely better, the more the better, as or not, as. So if I ask you to compare these two activities, so what might you say using the language about? So if we need to choose, if we have, I don't know, maybe a limited budget. So, Nastya, what would you say?
So, zip lining is a good deal accelerating than
A good deal,
sorbing.
Zobin, yeah, a good deal, a good deal if you choose. Yeah,
A good deal more exhilarating.
exhilarating, yeah, like because you compare, yeah, a
Yeah.
good deal more exhilarating. So you would go for zip line.
Zip line.
So, well, if you think of the key, it's somewhere.
I'm here.
You here? Good.
I switch off the video because I have a poor internet connection.
Okay. Good. Good to hear that. Kate, again, it's not only about your preferences, it's about like recycling the language. Well, what might you say about these two activities?
So I believe that zip lining infinitely safer than zorbing.
Infinitely, yeah.
Infinitely,
Yeah, you
yes.
remember the word infinity? Infinitely. Infinitely, and then infinitely more.
Saver.
Infinitely, and you need a if you compare, you
Like saver the safest. Безопасно.
Safer. I just missed
Safer.
I just missed, sorry, absolutely.
It's my
Infinitely it's safer than
safer, yeah. Than
yeah.
zorbing.
Right, you are. You remember that very often we use this as with a negative structure, not as. Yeah, like more often we encourage our learners to use not as. If you compare.
Zorbing is not as fast as zip lining.
Okay, absolutely. So now I want you to think about adventure holidays, things that you tried. That's why here I have no pictures. Well, think that you might compare personally. You remember what kind of extreme activities can we think of? Like
Indoor skydiving, but it's not, I think, only about adventure holidays.
Yeah, it's about adventure activities.
It's like adventure activity, yeah.
Yeah. Well,
So maybe climbing.
Some people tried whitewater rafting. Have you ever tried
Yeah.
that, like sailing or things like that? So what else can we try in Sarata?
Boarding.
Snowboarding.
Okay. Well, think of your weekends, holidays. So something that you've tried and you can personally compare.
So as for me, I carve whitewater rafting in Balashov. That's
Mhm.
there is a camp, and here you can just try to do it, and I hope I will get adrenaline rush from it, and
Mhm.
it will be exhilarating experience.
Mhm. Mhm. So, okay, and if you compare it with something that you've tried,
Okay.
uh-huh, uh-huh,
So I think I can compare it with maybe
uh-huh.
I don't know with water skiing.
Water
Water.
skiing, okay,
Maybe I'm
exciting.
not sure,
Uh-huh.
but it is water sport activities. So that's why I
Uh-huh.
did.
Logical to compare, yeah. Mhm.
I think whitewater rafting like is a team sport, so that's why you mm, you work with a team. So
Mhm.
the emotions will be slightly more, I don't know,
Mhm.
more. I will be feeling. I will be feel slightly more excited because I can share
Mhm. Mhm.
someone, and
Mhm.
I think even it's a kind of sport infinitely
Infinitely, infinitely. Mhm. Good, good, good.
more mm, more fast, or not more faster,
Mhm.
but I'm not sure. It's more
Mhm.
risky, I think.
Infinitely, you know, uh,
Um,
more risky or
More
riskier.
risky
Uh-huh.
uh, because of the stones underwater.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And the fact that you said that it's a social activity like whitewater rafting, yeah, you might say it's a good deal more interactive or social, yeah. Uh-huh. Then,
More interactive, yeah.
Okay, Nastya, what do you say? Which activities might you want to compare?
I'm going to compare the equipment. So yeah,
Okay.
if we will talk about boarding, all the types of the board, the better the board is, the faster you're going to slow down you're
Mm-hmm.
going to throttle down the slope.
Yes. Uh-huh. Good language. Uh-huh. Okay. Well, I asked you to do a bit of listening at home, and there was a lady. What kind of extreme activity has she tried?
Base
Yeah.
jumping.
Yep.
After listening to her, would you consider that?
Definitely not.
Definitely not. Okay. Why is that?
Um,
It's too
It's too dangerous.
dangerous, too risky.
I would try, but if it would be a tandem jump when another person should control the
Mm-hmm.
the parachute, not
Uh-huh.
me.
Uh-huh.
And
Well,
I'm rather old. I'm afraid of my heart.
worried. Yeah, like I'm a bit worried
Worried,
of
yes. It's
my
just
heart. So you
can't
remember,
cope with it.
yeah, you remember she used a lot of you know,
Mhm.
things about arrangements and intentions. And well, what did she say about this tandem jump? Do you remember anything about that? What did she say?
I'm
We did
thinking
the
of
task.
Uh-huh, uh-huh. Or what about the second one? What do we have?
Planning to
planning to,
or
uh,
aiming to.
aiming to. So you remember we aim at, but we can use a verb as well, yeah? Or you come here with the
Intention.
intention of. So if we think about arrangements, so at this level, we don't teach anything new. We focus more on variety. So actually higher than B1 plus, there is nothing new. The only thing that
Thanks God.
the only thing that I want you to think of using future continuous. Our students, we don't teach them to use future continuous a lot, but think about the meaning. I'll do it. I'll be doing it. Well,
If I'm
what?
not mistaken, according to the grammar
Mhm.
end of the book, we use future continuous when there is no special, without special arrangements. When we're
Yes.
going to do an action.
Yeah, it could be either a longer action in the future or without special arrangements. And very often it's about consideration. I think I'll be doing this, sometime in the future. And here, well, there is more variety when we talk about things. So were there any new phrases that you don't really use?
Due
Due to.
due to.
Due to jump. Oh, for example, yeah.
I'm aiming to do something I don't do.
Are there any things that you have intentions of doing in the nearest future? If I ask you to think of your plans or arrangements or intentions, so try
I'm thinking of visiting the new performance.
Okay, Kate, what about you?
So I have a great plan.
Uh-huh.
There.
Not on this Saturday. My will be my husband's birthday, and we're aiming to go to a club.
Nightclub.
No, it's somehow nightclub, but there will be a concert. Yes, there is. I think we should use present continuous here.
If it's about a concert, it's about
Schedule.
scheduled
Schedule.
events, or they arrange concerts, and we are aiming to go
present
there.
simple. Yes, there is concert.
And what kind of music are you, thinking of listening to? Because there are different. I tried jazz. My son tried rock.
Yes, and as far as I know, this group this group play different kind of music. So, but they like they have a dirigieur,
a conductor.
Conductor, yeah. Up conductor, yeah.
A conductor, yeah, conductor of the orchestra.
The conductor of the orchestra, and they like play classical music, but using some modern technology, something like this.
Okay, variations, yeah.
Yes, variations.
Variation. Oh, well, I am sure you will enjoy it.
I hope.
So, okay, these are family plans. Yeah, like any personal plans, like related to job or
Oh yes,
health.
and I had a question.
Yeah, please do ask.
So we are aiming to take a TKT exam in June. And
Uh-huh.
what modules we're going to prep?
Good. A good question to ask. We are doing actually not. We're re-recording the lectures at the moment. So they will be available very soon. And we want you to try to do some tasks, and they would be all about module 1 and module 2 mainly. As well as that, you might be considering, like continuous, might be considering doing YLE if you teach YLE, because all the modules are somehow interconnected in one YLE, but the context is YLE. And well, we kind of, should I put that? We think well that it's possible to try to do it in Uralsk. But we are still waiting for the proof from the center, who is in Astana. They are planning to arrange a session there in Uralsk in June.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, we move on. And well, Kate is preparing students for ЕГЭ exams, right? Kate, and do you remember what students have to do with pictures when they describe pictures?
Oral
in
task, the fourth one, yeah?
Yeah.
So they have to compare these pictures, but not the pictures, the action of this
the activities, yeah.
The activities in these pictures. So they should just pretend that they are doing project.
Yeah, okay. Usually if you think about levels in teaching English, like at B1 level, we focus our students on actions, and they should be able to describe actions. At B2 level, to compare actions or activities and possibly emotions. Well, at higher levels, like C1, look at the task. So what you might be doing if you consider taking an exam in the future. You are given 3 pictures. Usually you have to choose 2. And you don't compare the pictures, but you focus on the questions above, and the questions look like this. What skills or personal qualities does each activity involve? And how do these activities make people feel? So this is more about showing more complex language, which is very often through this somehow covering what they are doing and what they might be feeling. You remember we talked a little bit about the language of emotions. I'm not going to ask you to do the activity, but let's focus a little bit on personal qualities and how people might be feeling doing something like this. So if we look at the first picture, so how might she be feeling? Nastya, what do you say? What is she doing actually? What is she doing?
She is jumping with the rope.
Yeah, bungee jumping. Yeah,
bungee jumping.
Doing bungee jumping.
So she's definitely exaggerating feeling of a free fall. And no ideas.
No ideas. Okay, let's think about
feeling.
Yeah, so let's think about ideas here. So how can we show a little bit more complex language. You don't know, but she might be bungee jumping, like modal verbs and continuous infinitives to show more complex structures, right? You remember this when we read about roller coasters? Look, how might you feel your legs, your hands, your hearts, your blood? So this is another thing that it's not there in the picture, but you might imagine. Like, again, this is the way of showing how the person might be feeling. So
Hands trembling and
your hands
heart
might be
pounding,
trembling and heart pounding.
blood racing.
And then it was Katya who used the word because of this, doing this activity gives you adrenaline rush. Yeah, like something like you insert some language. So this person is definitely a thrill seeker. And so what qualities, if she's a thrill seeker, what qualities might be to her character? You remember this, the thing that we read about qualities? So you don't have to name the quality. You might describe what kind of personality he or she is. You never know. So why do people experience something like this?
Maybe
There is something wrong with the connection. Can you say that again?
she might be T person.
Kind of a T person.
Who prefers living on the wild side.
And testing her limits. Yeah.
And feel that she is in control.
Okay. So, Kate, if I ask you to choose 2 or 3, what would you go for?
Of course, I would go for the third one.
The third one, okay.
Yeah, but I'm not sure that I can name this this sport activity right. Is it like waterboarding?
Surfing, I think.
Yes, of course. I just
surfing.
okay, surfing. In this picture, we can see the man who is doing surfing, and I think that he is very risky person. I mean, he can stick his neck out and enjoy the adrenaline and enjoys the adrenaline rush from such kind of activity. And so I think he's
focus a little bit on the qualities. So what kind of person might like an activity like this?
It's quite risky, and moreover, he is energetic and self-confident person because he can take risks and just try his limit, not try, but
test his limits.
Test his limits.
Okay. Well, and when we do this exam format, if we don't just describe it, but do exam format, we usually find something in common, they have in common. But if we compare these two, so which one requires preparation and a certain level of fitness?
The third, I think, one.
Yeah, like to be able to do this, like complex structures, you need to prepare properly. You need some skills. While here you can test your limits without much, I don't know,
effort.
Effort or preparation. You just test if you can survive it. Yeah. Right. And we say adrenaline rush. Yeah. Okay. There could be tasks like this when people do different sports, and again, to show some good quality language, we can use some verbs. We don't describe pictures at high levels. We focus on emotional qualities or physical qualities, why people choose those. But if we look at the lady above, how can we describe her movement? Like to comment on it slightly, to show more complex language. What is she doing? What do we call this activity?
Row.
So she's rowing, canoeing, whatever it is. And if we think,
Kayaking.
yeah, you remember, so we worked with some language, with some verbs. What kind of movement is this? Is it fast? Is
Yeah.
it?
There's
Whoosh.
She
She's
whooshing.
whooshing.
Whooshing, yeah.
Uh-huh,
She's
yeah.
whooshing down the river.
So definitely this one is about whooshing, yeah, like through the air on your bike, yeah. So, and what about this activity? How would you describe it? So, any verbs that you can think of to describe, apart from climbing?
So the man
Mhm. Mhm.
turtle. Oh no, yes.
No.
Well, hurdle is probably,
Fast,
you know,
but not fast.
yeah.
But dangerous.
Uh-huh.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. So, well, okay, let's focus a little bit on physical effort. Do you require a lot of effort?
Yeah, sure.
Mm-hmm. Well, uh, anything else that the person might need to succeed?
The third picture.
Yeah, like if you want to do a bit of climbing.
So you should have a good physical
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
preparation.
Mm-hmm.
Prepare
Mm-hmm.
with well.
Yeah, like okay. So
Good
a lot of
equipment.
safe equipment, a lot of
Safe.
physical strength. Well, and if we talk about the movements, back to movements, he should be able to make careful steps, or sometimes maybe even leaps. You remember when you leap from place to place? You know. If you are very tired, can you stagger at a certain point of your way? Yeah, there will be some different parts of the trick, and really risky and really scary. So, today we'll talk a little bit more about some extreme sports and activities. I would like you to open your books at page 28. 28. So have a look at the pictures on page 28. So here we have some more activities. So look at them. Which look enjoyable and exhilarating?
Treetop adventuring. I like it really.
Have you ever tried it?
Yes, I tried it in even in different places in different cities in our country.
Mm-hmm.
And in Saratov, by the way, we have got something like treetop adventuring. It is quite exhilarating experience. It's of course, ladies, you should try it. It's worth it.
Wow, probably. I have never considered that. Wow. Nastya, what do you say?
treetop adventuring,
Uh-huh.
or it seems more safe than everything else.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
Safer than everything else.
Well, I think paintballing is quite safe.
Yeah, but
Uh-huh. It's
you
not
need
as
you need to respond very quickly, have good reaction, in order not to
uh-huh,
be
yeah, true.
somehow killed. And treetop adventuring, you do it in your own pace without a hurry.
Mhm.
Any hurry.
Uh-huh. So we have talked a little bit about bungee jumping. And what about pony trekking? Is it exciting?
Mm.
It's quite exciting, but it's
Mhm.
quite risky, to be honest.
Mhm. Mhm.
Last year I was in Georgia, and
Mhm.
there we had not pony, but horse trekking, I think.
Mhm. Mhm.
And my son is a really risky person. Uh,
Mhm.
so
Adventurous, yeah, probably better to say
adventurous,
an
yes,
adventurous
adventurous
person.
person,
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
and uh, he launched for such activity, and so he tried to push his horse, and one moment it just started, I don't know, we can say here,
Galloping. Was it like galloping, running faster?
galloping, yes. And so it was really very scary,
Very. Uh-huh.
because
Uh-huh.
we were in the we were trekking in the mountains.
Mhm.
So and when I just realized that he like at the edge of the mountain,
Mhm.
and our our coach, maybe we can say, just
Mhm.
talking with one of the ladies, I
Mhm.
started screaming. So
Oh,
after that, he only just noticed that something wrong.
uh-huh. Wow. A scary experience. Uh-huh.
Yes, it was quite scary, but
Mhm.
enjoyable.
Yeah, but if we think of, imagine that you haven't tried it. Well, Nastya, well, what kind of skills pony trekking requires?
First of all, you need to be patient with an animal, because you
Mhm.
it's a living being, and it's hard
Mhm.
to give any command, if especially when it's your first choice.
Mhm.
Um,
Mhm.
and for sure, it's for me it seems not really pleasant sitting on a horse. You will be experiencing some uncomfortable feelings. I don't know
Mhm.
why,
Mhm.
but it's my impression of this activity.
Yeah, so definitely you need to be physically
Mhm.
No, you don't need to be physically
fit.
prepared.
No, physically fit. And having a good sense of when you move on a bike or on a horse, a good sense of
Mhm.
balance. So
Balance.
there are easy things that you can say. We all know those. So let's think about karting and skills and qualities that you might need again to be able to do this. Mhm.
Good driving skills.
Mhm. Some sort of driving skills.
Yeah.
Okay. Well,
So
Sense of directions.
sense of
yeah,
direction. And Nastya, you remember you mentioned this, a good reaction because there are other
Yeah.
people, yeah,
Mhm.
around. A good reaction because you're not alone there usually. So, what about whitewater rafting? Let's think a little bit about skills?
So team working skills, like
Mm-hmm. Team skills, like
skills
um.
and
Oh,
strong arms, maybe.
mm-hmm.
Physically fit.
Because it's on the water, what do you need to be able to do? If some,
Swimming,
yeah, to
Swimming.
be a good swimmer.
swimmer, baby
Mm-hmm.
swimmer. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So why is that? Why swimming is important? In case,
In case of in case of
um,
I know this word.
incidents, if,
Accident.
yeah, not accident, but incident, if the
Incident.
raft
Mm-hmm.
goes,
World upside down.
yeah, absolutely. Mm-hmm. Okay. So, which activity out of these might be expensive? What do you think?
Might be what?
Expensive,
Expensive.
pricey. Mm-hmm.
But I think one of the most expensive is bungee jumping. Bungee jumping is the most expensive, maybe.
Mm-hmm. 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 Okay. Well, probably the most. Why is that? Well,
Because of really expensive equipment.
expensive.
And you have to, I think people have to control this equipment every
Mm-hmm.
day. So
Mm-hmm. Check, yeah. Monitor the
check,
good quality and
monitor,
safety.
yep.
Okay. So, ladies, we are going to do a bit of a listening. So, different international students will be sharing their views on a social activity program at university in Australia. I want you to take notes while listening. Uh, what positive or negative things they mention about, well, activities above, activities that they have tried. Okay, just a second. I need to share.
Track 1.50.
Is the sound okay?
Yeah.
Luba.
The social activity I liked most was the whitewater rafting excursion. I'd never done anything like that at all, and it was a lot of fun. It was quite expensive to do, but I think it was worth it. We had to pay for the guide and hire of the wetsuits and everything like that. But the feeling of being swept along by the current of the water was a bit like being on a roller coaster. It was infinitely more exciting because everything was far less predictable. The only negative thing that happened to me was that when I got off the raft, I slipped on a wet rock and sort of twisted my ankle. Still, it won't stop me from trying this again.
Mehmet.
I did both the social program activities, whitewater rafting and the bungee jump. The rafting was nowhere near as exciting as the jump. I loved it so much, in fact, I'm planning to do another jump before I go back home. For me, there was one thing I found a bit strange about these activities. When we went to the river and to the jump site, we were just picked up by a minivan driver. There was no one from the social program who came with us. I mean, we had a good enough time just with ourselves, but it was a bit odd that no one from the committee was there. Not very friendly, I thought.
Paolo.
Actually, I didn't do either of the sports activities. I like sports, but I'm not so keen on these extreme sports. The more dangerous they are, the less I want to do them. So, with the whitewater rafting, well, I'm not such a good swimmer, and I was told it'd be a bit risky. And then with the bungee jump, well, I've never really understood the thrill of throwing yourself off a bridge. I'm quite good at normal sports. Football, tennis, volleyball, and I like hiking. Why do sports have to be extreme all the time? Some people complained about the cost, but that didn't surprise me. These things cost money. I don't mind paying, it's just it needs to be something I really want to do.
Changying.
For me, the highlight of the year was doing the bungee jump. To begin with, I really wasn't sure about it, and I remember when we were in the minivan on the way there, the closer we got, the more nervous I became. I almost pulled out at the last minute, but everyone encouraged me to go ahead with the jump. It was truly amazing. The initial free fall is the most incredible sensation I've ever felt. Just a big rush with this amazing sense of freedom. The only negative aspect of the experience was that we had to pay half the price. $100 is a lot of money. I'd been led to believe that all these activities would be paid for. I mean, I could afford it, and it was worth it. But I thought these things were meant to be covered as part of the social program.
Okay. Do we have any ideas about everybody? Good. So, what about Luba? What does Luba say, Katya? What does she say? What was she talking about?
So Luba told about whitewater rafting. Yes, whitewater rafting. So she had a lot of fun there. It's and she compared whitewater rafting with roller coasting, and she said that it's more exciting, and as negative points, she mentioned that it is quite expensive activity and quite risky too, because at the end of this process, so she just twisted her ankle.
And well, how might it happen that well,
Because there was some rock, as I
yeah, and
that-
she
and she
oops, should
Okay.
write it out
Did-
in Russian. When you
Twisted your ankle.
sleep, what do you do?
sleep.
When you sleep on the rock, you can
it's-
sleep on the
It's
ice.
like sleep of the town of the
Uh,
town.
If
you
something
kind of
is wet or really
icy, yeah,
icy,
you might
you
sleep.
can fall.
You can fall, yeah. And she probably didn't, but she slipped, and so she twisted her ankle very. So it can be dangerous, a bit risky. Mehmet, well, from Turkey, what did he say, Nastya?
So if I'm not mistaken, he experienced both whitewater rafting and bungee jumping, but he enjoyed bungee jumping more, the most.
Okay, the most or more? Both. Okay. Any? Did she give any negative feedback? So she enjoyed both, but she enjoyed bungee jumping. He enjoyed both, but he enjoyed bungee jumping the most. But what about
Negatives.
minuses?
If I'm not mistaken, I don't understand it properly, because his complaint was about being alone without any committee.
Committee, members of the committee, those who do social programs. So they were.
It's not connected with the experience, but with the arrangement.
Yeah. So they were not very friendly, he said.
Yeah.
Okay.
He wanted to be guided all the time.
Okay. Well, what about Paula? So was he talking about bungee jumping or water rafting, Kata?
Yes, he just mentioned such activities, but as far as I understood, he didn't try them because it is quite risky for him, and he is not good at swimming, so he is not a swimmer, and he said that he didn't understand why people are crazy about such activities because prefer football, hacking, or something like this. And over extreme activities is quite pricey, expensive. So that's why we didn't really want to do them.
Okay. And what about the last student? What did she say about her experience?
We also were talking about bungee jumping, and she enjoyed the experience, and it was rather exhilarating, despite the fact that her heart was bumping and blood racing, and she was afraid, but she was really disappointed about paying the whole price. She was expecting the program would pay at least the half of it.
So she was concerned, maybe not worried, but concerned about the
Cost.
the cost. Yeah, about the
It was
cost.
really pricey.
Okay. Right. So if you are the member of a committee and you take part in organizing events, so why do you look for feedback from participants, from students? What are the reasons usually?
It's not only being pleased with the result of the event, also now the modern sense you boost your product or your skills or be better than you are now.
So the idea is so you can make
Improve.
some improvements, yeah,
Not
some
changes.
changes, yeah. Well, in real life situations, what do? We question people or interview and then make changes. But if the team is big and one person does the, observation or like monitor the forms, so in real life, a person would write a report. In level exams at higher levels, the first paper is usually an essay, and the second paper, the optional paper, is usually a report. If you are considering taking C1 exam later, report is an excellent paper because it's very straightforward and very direct, and people find it easier to write. So, well, look at the language on top of the page. So we'll focus a little bit on the structure, linkers, and what is a concession? What do you think is a concession?
I don't.
Nastya, can you speak up? Just
No ideas.
Okay. Concession is something like you say yes, right, true, but. Well, the basic idea
The
is like
linking.
the way of linking contrasting ideas, уступка. But the idea is that it makes the paragraph very balanced.
It's like agreeing, disagreeing in one D.
Oh, kind of.
But they wasn't formal.
Yeah. So if we think of real life situations, the reports are what for? So why do people write
for your
reports?
opinion?
Like to get some opinion and
in order to improve.
Yes, usually
something.
you describe something, pluses, minuses, different aspects, and then at the end, what do? You recommend
some changes.
some changes. usually improvements, right? So here we have a report, which is a kind of a review of the social program that these students have tried. So you remember the activities that they have tried?
Yep.
Yeah. Only
Two.
two.
Yeah, bungee jumping. So why a program can't include too many activities? If you think really,
It's
what
quite
are,
difficult to organize them.
yeah. In real life, it's very difficult to organize too many activities and probably
To
no
find
budget.
maybe, but it was quite pricey. So that's
Yeah.
why,
If you think about the word pricey, is it formal or informal?
Informal.
Informal. If we write a report, we usually write to
expensive.
somebody who is superior. So what kind of language will we use?
Formal one.
Yeah,
Formal.
neutral if we're not sure about, or formal, better formal. So have a quick look at the report. And the first thing I want you to do is, well, focus on recommendations. What the report recommends. Don't pay attention to highlighted words or headings yet.
We'll need to read all of it.
Yeah, you read through very quickly and think of recommendations. What are the recommendations? Mm-hmm. So, what the recommendations are?
So, they first of all need to think about the level of challenge that not everybody is ready to stick their neck out. Not everybody there.
Yeah, well, but this is like, willing to try. Yeah. Not everybody would definitely agree on that.
All the students were eager to do it, but when there was when they were in the when they faced the experience, they changed their mind.
And another thing, like the level of risk to consider, and there is another thing, another aspect.
The level of water, I'm sorry. I just didn't catch the idea.
The level of risk. Some students mentioned the level of risks, that some activities are too
Really
risky,
challenging.
very challenging. And
one more point is about the price.
The price.
Yes, that some they just try to find slightly cheaper options for the next
Mhm.
year students, and they try to decrease the cost
Mhm.
due to, for example, the venue of event.
Mhm.
It,
By changing the venue, of the
yes,
event.
changing the venue. For example, they suggested try paintball, as far as I remember,
Yeah.
because it's the venue is very comfortable.
Mhm.
And it gives them opportunity to cut transport costs.
Yes. Well said. Good. So, what makes a report straightforward and understandable is that you usually divide it into paragraphs, and each paragraph has a heading. And here we have some ideas in A. Have a look and match the headings with the 5 paragraphs. Let me know if you're ready.
I'm ready.
Good. So what would be number 1?
Introduction.
Yes. Number 2?
Level.
Okay. Level of challenge. Number 3.
Safety concerns.
Look at the word concerns. I think it's really, really easy, but really, really good. Because like questions of safety or issues of safety, safety concerns sounds quite formal, easy to use, and really good. Number 4, what would it be?
Cost and budget.
Okay. And the last one?
Recommendations.
Recommendations. So if we think about the headings, usually you start with introduction, and what is it about?
About the purpose, the aim of the
Yes,
of
exactly.
report.
So in real life, in big companies like universities, there are a lot of reports. Introduction gives the aim, why. The final paragraph is always a conclusion, or usually in reports we say recommendations or suggested improvements. Well, your headings could be quite easy and simple. It doesn't affect the paper. Sometimes people think too much about interesting names, so it's not important. So the ideas, the structures, the paragraphs are more important. But think about one little aspect. So when you plan a report like this, you plan introduction, you plan recommendations. And if you plan changing the price, here in the body parts, there should be something about
the price.
The price to make this connected. There is such thing as interactive communication and organization, and this is about connecting ideas. If you think that some activities were too challenging. Here you have a paragraph,
Level of
the level of challenge. If you here have something about more interesting activities, here you would have a paragraph that some students found the activities
uninteresting.
uninteresting or boring. You know, like it's all about clear planning. So if you recommend to change something, you should have some paragraphs about things that are not good enough. Is it a good idea to have too many ideas? Like to change everything? Like
No.
why?
Structure will be really complex.
Yeah, we're very divided. There will be too many ideas. It will be difficult to link them.
And to organize, especially
Yes,
to fulfill the task.
yes, absolutely. Sometimes people think of too many problems. This is not the best strategy.
Two,
So
three.
only three. No, the three
Two,
is
three,
best.
two, three things to consider. Well, here we have a level of challenge. Like sometimes people have this general information, like giving the general idea. But well, if you want to change something, there should be something about what is not good enough. Let's think a little bit about the language and think of C. Have a look at C. Here we have some options, and some words are not good, can't be used. So if we look at the beginning, the first paragraph, so which word is not good?
Gender.
So what is a gender?
Well,
Okay.
is it about the speech?
Yeah, like it's about the program. The
It's not about
gender of
written
political event.
text.
It's not about purpose. It's not about aim. It's not about objective. So usually people would say the purpose of this report, but you can say the aim of this report is. Right. So which word wouldn't be good?
Establishment.
Yeah, we establish good relationship, but it's not about recommendation. Well, let's think a little bit about the word suggest. So Russian speakers make mistakes with suggest, and we teach our B1, B1 plus level learners that after suggest we have either that or suggest doing something. So it's a good idea to highlight that before, not to correct mistakes after, but specify that before people feel more, aware. Look at number 3. Which one is not?
Resolutions.
Yeah. So governments pass resolutions like laws, but this is about recommendations, conclusions, suggested improvements, suggestions, and things like that. Okay. Let's think a little bit about the language that we have in the report. So look at paragraph 1. What makes it, is the language personal or impersonal?
Without I.
Without I. So it's impersonal. So which structures are more impersonal?
We, they.
Yeah, or
Starting with the subject.
look at
noun.
Look at this, the very last sentence. The
The
report
report.
is based. Sometimes, oh, look at this. Even paragraph, I think. Look at paragraph 3, the first sentence.
Passive structure.
passive structures. They are either personal, it is considered, a lot of students said, or passive structures. Safety issues were raised, really good. Like a lot of people said that. It's a formal way of saying that. What do you, well, the word review options, like talk to people and review. So it's a good idea to use complex sentences and combine. So you question people and suggest improvements. The only thing is, it's a good idea not to repeat the language in the first paragraph and in the last paragraph. Okay, so if you look at paragraph 1, what makes it more formal? Which sentences would use or vocabulary items would help you make it more formal? Instead of get, we would use something like receive. Like instead of test, like review options. Okay. Okay, look at paragraph 2. What makes it sound more formal? Words, because sometimes it's difficult to say what does it mean to use more formal language.
Linking words.
Yes, actually, basically in every sentence you have a linker. We'll talk about that in a moment. So we do not use contracted forms. Yeah. Only full forms. And little things like instead of the words have to have, we would use require. Like simple things like receive, reply, require, suggest. Simple neutral words, but they make it a bit more formal.
And
So you remember, just this is not about this particular report, not reports in general. If people suffer concussion, what happens? So because of the severe hit, they lose the ability to
be
function
conscious.
physics, lose
Conscious?
consciousness.
Oh my God.
Concussion, when for a moment you hit your head so severely that you can't control.
Faint, like faint, yeah.
Yes, the noun is concussion, like with the head, сотрясение.
Нет, значит, я думала про потерять сознание.
Yeah, to become unconscious, but this is the physical result of the concussion, that people lose consciousness. And then they have maybe headaches or something like that.
Thank you.
Okay, look at the word. Instead of the word, sometimes when we look for words, we think of expensive, pricey, right? But using more formal word like generous budget instead of money, or subsidizing, like instead of like of funding. Sometimes it's not only about formal variants, but about changing the syntactic structure and make it easier to formulate. If you want to use I sentences, the last paragraph is personal. This is what you suggest. It's okay to use I sentences here. Try to avoid I sentences in the body parts, make them more objective. But in the final variant, it's okay. Look at the very easy way, like low cost instead of cheap, not to repeat things. There are easy ways to paraphrase it. Well, now focus a little bit on highlighted words. Which do you feel very comfortable with? You use a lot. Easy to
All
use, you use a lot.
However, on the
However,
other hand,
however is fantastic. Is a fantastic linker, easy to use, stylistically very good. On the other hand, we teach essays, we know how to use that. Mhm. If you compare, although,
in contrast to, yeah.
yeah, even though it's
Mhm.
probably a bit more emotional, but easy to use, even though, like although. Katya has mentioned contrast. What I like about this one, and you can teach to your students. So in contrast to something, or in contrast, comma, when you compare. Because on the other hand, sounds a bit more formal probably. In contrast or by comparison are easy to use. So would you teach nevertheless?
Yes.
I wouldn't at B1 plus level. I explain why, because nevertheless sounds way too formal. And if our students have problems with simple syntactic structures, the language is not very complex. However, sounds a lot better than nevertheless, stylistically. It sounds more natural. Yes, I know that we need to understand that, but nevertheless, it's good when students are able to produce complex sentences. If they tend to use simple sentences, so however, in contrast, would be probably easier to use because they wouldn't, their writing wouldn't look like rehearsed or memorized. Like would sound more natural. But with higher levels, nevertheless, is really good. So if you look at D, I delete all the, look at D. Here we have highlighted in bold words. I would like you to focus on the sentences and think about synonyms and options to, you know, complete the sentence with, like practicing linkers.
In contrast,
Yeah, you focus on highlighted in yellow. There's something wrong with my sound probably. And think like unlike whitewater rafting. So
in contrast to whitewater rafting.
yes, absolutely. Yeah, you sometimes there could be more than one variant. Let me know if you're ready. Ready?
Yeah.
Good. So we have discussed the first one, yeah, like in contrast to. So what about number 2, Nastya? Just missed the. Can you say it again?
Even though.
Even though,
I have
and
another.
after even though, Nastya, what do we have a look at this variant here? Even though, look at this.
We need to change the
Subject.
structure, even though skydiving is still more popular.
Yeah, you
students.
need a sentence after even
Mhm.
though. It's a conjunction, and here. Katya, what do you
However,
have? Katya? Well,
nevertheless,
yeah, nevertheless sounds more logical. Yeah, here without changing the structure. And nice. How can you change the structure so even though makes
skydiving is still more popular with students. Go partying is cheaper than skydiving. No. Even though go karting is cheaper than skydiving,
yeah,
it is
yeah.
still popular. It is still more popular.
Then you completely change that. Yeah, like
Mhm.
you got the point. Yeah. Katya, are you with us? There's probably something wrong with connection. Katya?
I'm
Okay.
here.
Yes,
Yeah.
great. Oh, please step in. Number 3.
Number 3, okay. You could go pony trekking. On the other hand, you could go bungee jumping.
Yes. Oh, well,
А можно вопрос, почему however во втором не подходит?
however, go-karting is cheaper than skydiving. However, well, I think however usually links more ideas.
Ну, go.
Well, however, skydiving is still, I think it might, but you need to add something. So you link. Go-karting is cheaper than skydiving. Well, I think that it's still, if you develop the idea further in a paragraph, it might be okay. No problem with that. I can't see any problems. So here we have, on the other hand, or anything else? Number 3, back to number 3.
I had nevertheless, but
Well, when you talk the well, nevertheless, like and however, it's like but here you talk about the options, and when you talk about the options, you can say
moreover.
moreover will be development of the same idea.
Mhm.
Here would be however, or on the other hand, as Katya has rightly pointed out. So what about in spite of the cost?
Despite the cost.
Yes. Here we just changed the structure. Although it is very expensive,
Nevertheless.
again,
However, even though,
even though, yeah, even though, think about nevertheless and however, ladies. We usually link sentences. So, although and even though, you link these two parts within one complex sentence. Think about however and nevertheless. You write a sentence, full stop, however,
Ah,
comma,
mhm.
another sentence, or nevertheless,
Two
comma,
simple sentences.
yeah, well, they are not supposed to be simple. They are supposed to be a bit more complex, but still, you link sentences. Although and even though you link two parts,
Two ideas in
clauses,
one sentence.
two clauses in one sentence. Mhm.
Это even though and
Yeah, nevertheless, if however.
never.
Although and even though one sentence, nevertheless and however, at the
Nevertheless,
beginning of
however,
the new
mhm,
sentence,
yes.
or you
Even.
linked paragraphs. You remember on the one hand, on the other hand, blah blah blah. However, mm-hmm.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Okay. So let's have a bit more practice. And here we have, look at 6. Here we have parts of the sentences divided. So let's match numbers and letters. Take a moment, read letters first, and then it will be easier for you to put them with numbers, to match them with numbers.
So we need to choose a linking and
Link is
combine.
there. Link is there. We will just point them out.
In the letters.
Yeah, you match the letters. You match ideas.
Okay.
Yeah.
Godless means due to.
Like it's kind of in spite of.
Это что in spite of?
Regardless of.
Regardless of.
Thank you. I'm ready.
Katya?
me too, but I'm not sure
It's the same.
Mhm.
at all.
Okay, let's have a look and discuss things.
Really, really
So,
difficult.
number one, what do we have for number one?
B.
Yes,
Yep.
right, you are. B is correct here.
Hooray.
And so we link it with for all that extreme sports that has a negative feedback. So, and think about the grammatical structure. So you can say there was some negative feedback, but present perfect sounds more complex because you constantly ask for feedback, and so you demonstrate more complex grammar. So number two, what do we have?
If.
Easy, despite the fact that many students, yeah. And again, despite something or despite the fact that it can be used as a preposition or as a linking phrase. So, number three.
A.
Absolutely. Yeah, another contrasting linker, on the contrary, in contrast, but on the contrary. When people assume, what do they do? They guess.
Yes,
Yeah, assume is more formal for like guess. So number four, what do we have?
E.
Absolutely. And that's easy. Number five.
D.
Well, so how would you, regardless of the savings we make on transport, and here we cannot afford to subsidize very expensive. And how would you say, in spite of the savings we might make, yeah? So you see, regardless sounds a bit more formal. Okay, and number six?
C.
Definitely. So, and again, no, if something like regardless is tricky to use, I think while is easy. While some people have, again, there's concessions when we concede and say, though we see that, it's still difficult, or it might be difficult, but we find it manageable. When we plan different social activities and write reports to the administration, to the university council, to the committee, there are different aspects. Very often in many tasks, you are told that there are problems. Talk about the problems and offer solutions. For example, look at the word itinerary. What is itinerary?
Very good.
4A.
4A.
Tourist itinerary. No idea.
It's a detailed plan of a program. Like the word route or journey, it's the way you go, right? Itinerary, it's like food, drink, cultural program, like all the different components, like a detailed plan of a program. So, and sometimes it could be about activities that students don't like. What kind of, if it's about places you visit, what could be a problem?
Transport cost.
The way you
The-
go.
Maybe it's not interesting. Maybe the long way you go there. Transportation costs. So if we talk about refreshments and food, what could be the problem?
Refreshments, it means the food.
The refreshments like drinks, like maybe sometimes the drinks, you can say refreshments, drinks, and maybe snacks.
Enough or not?
Not enough.
Suitable for everyone with allergic people.
So another possible problem could be the time of the visit. People are tired or anything else?
When the city is busy and there are a lot of people crowded.
Okay. Well, availability of guides. What's that?
There's no guide.
There is no guide. Yeah,
That's
which is,
all.
or
all.
maybe too many points or too few points, or not, the excursion is not interesting. Again, you see, when you are asked to write about some problems which you have to imagine, don't think too much about different problems. Too many problems is not good.
So we suggested the problems and we choose 2 or 3.
Yeah, very often it's like this.
Hooray! Something is suggested.
You suggest that you ask some students for feedback. They collected some feedback. You point out the problems and suggest improvements.
Okay.
So at home, I'll ask you to do a bit of revision, like vocabulary and grammar revision. Recap some vocabulary from the second unit. But I think to improve the language, you really need to do a bit of writing. I know that people don't like writing.
No, it's okay.
Well, but I'll set a time limit, like 2 weeks.
No.
Yeah, like you will have time to think, take notes, think of what we have just discussed about ideas and the language. Don't focus on too many new linkers, but try to make syntactically more complex structures. And if you have time, the optional thing would be to watch
One, two, three.
part C, and discuss with the study buddy. Okay. Any questions?
Should we send our report to each other or just you?
If you find time to send to each other, because you learn from each other a lot, or you notice kind of good ideas you might improve your paper. If you find time to do that,
okay,
do it. Because when you give feedback, you also learn a lot. You go to the dictionary, double check things.
Yes, true.
To specify some more things, the last thing to say, that when we talk about activities, or like maybe if you choose to talk about extreme sports, situations, activities are very often risky, and people are adventurous. Yeah. So and if we talk about holidays or activities, very often we say adventure holidays, adventure activities. Yeah. So not to confuse, to get confused.
People are adventurous.
Yes, or not. But again, very often it's up to you. You can talk about sightseeing or cultural events. It's your choice.
So we can it's about anything.
Yes. Very often the exam task would say you're writing a report to a university administration about a summer program for foreign students. Comment on the problems they have faced and suggest improvements. And in this way, you invent problems and suggest improvements, but they should be connected. It shouldn't be like you invent lots of problems and then minor improvements.
Критикуешь, предлагай.
Yes. Don't be overcritical.
Too many mistakes.
Yeah, I mean, like teachers really like to criticize.
Yes, it's our nature.
Well, they like to criticize everything. Imagine you are writing to somebody who is very important, and you think carefully how to criticize. Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay. Good. Well, have a good weekend.
You too. Goodbye.
Bye.